Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode. So, before we dive in and get started, I want you to think about what comes to mind when I say the fierce, intentional female leader. What emotions does that bring forward? What comes to your mind? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And what does it sound like? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break it all down for you today as we are ready to have a wonderful, amazing show and conversation with all of you on today's episode of the Coffee with Rhonda show. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Coffee with Rhonda show. Super excited to have you here because today we are going to have just an amazing conversation. So let me bring up our wonderful panel. And we are going to go ahead and get our conversation started. So today I have the pleasure of having all of these wonderful, amazing women here with me today. Before we go through our introductions, let's talk a little bit about the background. So you know what the show is here, whether you're watching live or on a replay, we want to welcome you. We're so glad you're here. And also, you know that we believe that together we can leverage our collective wisdom as we navigate the world and look to become smarter, more savvy leaders. This is episode 47, and today we are talking about the fierce, intentional female leader. So if you're out there watching, don't forget to comment, tell us what's in your cup, and then also your comments power our conversation. So please don't forget, if something resonates with you, share that. Also, you can watch on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And then finally, if you're listening on podcast, we love reviews. All right, enough of that. So let's get our show started. My name is Rhonda Williams, and I'm your host for the show. I am known as an R soul, or a recovering stressed out leader. Today, I'm an elite leadership coach helping entrepreneurs and executives decide it's time to stop the madness, reduce stress, and live more successful and more fulfilled lives. So, what do I have in my cup this morning? I've got my springy little Cabo cup here. It's a little sassy, it's a little spicy, and I have some strawberry mint tea. And that's what's in my cup this morning. So let's go around and we'll introduce everyone on our panel. Let's start with our wonderful co-host, and then we're going to introduce our amazing guest to the show. So Mireille, good morning, or good evening to you, right? Welcome.
It's good evening, and in 1 hour it's going to be morning Sunday. So that's fantastic. Welcome to the show. My name is Mireille. I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm the greatness engineer. My background is in engineering, but I also do coaching, and I'm all about greatness, making sure people understand that they have greatness inside of them and they have no limits, and engineer greatness wherever they can and wherever it matters. And I'm really happy to be here again.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
in my cup, it's going to be water because after that, I have to go to bed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mireille. And for Kemi and Simi, Mireille is in Australia. We have a truly global panel this morning, and I think that's just going to enrich and add to our conversation this morning. So, good morning to our other amazing, sassy, and as the intro says, caffeinated co-host. Hello, Miss Roz. Good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I am Roz Jones, the CEO and owner of Jacksonville's Best Caregivers, where we provide 4 levels of specialized care to your loved ones: sitter, homemaking companion, home health aide, and certified nursing assistant. Why do I do it? I do it to assist the caregiver with that SOS on their journey, which is being stressed, overwhelmed, and providing safety and security for your loved one. And as I always say, when you can't do it all,
Give
give
them
us
a
a
call.
call. All right.
Awesome. And Roz, do you have a cup this morning?
I still have my 9 to 5 killers cup, and I have my peppermint tea with the lemon and the honey. Yes.
Delicious. Thank you so much. And now to our wonderful and amazing guests for the show. These are two of my new favorite people. We actually met on Clubhouse, and we've been collaborating and just building an amazing relationship. And we're gonna, we've got a wonderful room that we run called the Intentional Female Leader, which really inspired our show today. So Simi, welcome to the show. Tell us who you are, where you are, and then don't forget to share what's in your cup.
Thank you, Rhonda. Super excited to be here today with you lovely, lovely ladies. My name's Simi Rayat. My background is as a business psychologist, executive coach, and I work with corporate leaders globally to elevate leadership brilliance. It's a topic absolutely that I'm passionate about and really enjoy working with incredible leaders that I coach and develop. And today in my cup, I don't really have a cup normally, Rhonda. So you really kind of inspired me to think about having hot drinks. So I'm having and enjoying a green tea today, and I'm here speaking in from London.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Simi. It's great to have you on the show. And I'm so glad we could inspire you to have a little bit of hot tea in your cup this morning. Wonderful. Thank you. And going over to the wonderful, amazing Kemi. If you have any challenges on how to think, oh, wait, let me not give it away. Miss Kemi, tell us who you are, where you are, and then tell us what's in your cup. Hold on. There we go. I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Hello! It's so good to be here. So I have a Zoom thing in the evening that I'm leading. It's called the Trauma Cure Workshop. But my name is Kemi Oyesola, so I've been buzzing since last night because I'm just going from thing to thing to thing to thing. But my name is Kemi Oyesola. I am in United States of Nigeria right now, enjoying the sun and the rain and good organic food. And what do? I beg your pardon, I've gone off topic. What I do is I teach people the fine art of how to think. It's not mindset, it's thought set. So your thoughts set your mind, period. I work with women whose next trajectory is senior executive or board level positions, and I work with young people. My background is microbiology and parasitology, BSc, BA in youth and community work, and I'm currently a Cranfield doctoral researcher, and I'm pumped. I'm sorry, I'll be a good girl. Oh, my cup. My cup. I don't really know who owns this cup. I'm staying with my brother, so whatever is in the house, but it has cold water because we've got to watch the weight. We've got to watch the figure. We're working at it. I'm not too sure that it's working though, but we're getting there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kemi. It's great to have you ladies on the show. So as we jump in and get started, we had our first comment out there was from Regina. Regina said, good morning, ladies. A pleasure to be with you. Regina from San Antonio. It's great to have it. She has, let's see, homemade fresh ginger root tea in her cup this morning. So Shirley, hello. Christelle, hello. And don't forget to tell us if you've got a cup and tell us what's in it. So Shirley says, great show. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And then Christelle says, hello, everyone. I want to know what you ladies have in your cup. Don't keep it a secret out there. And then Maria also is out there. Hello, Maria is in the Netherlands. She's another woman that is just one of our fantastic show watchers and supporters. And we're actually going to try to visit Maria in the Netherlands at some point. We've got a whole list of places we're now going to visit as a result of meeting amazing people through this show. So let's get our conversation started. I am really excited about this one as we go into this conversation. And when I was thinking about the show, we have the room that we run on Clubhouse called the Intentional Female Leader. And I added a bit of a twist to it today, right? So I added the fierce, intentional female leader. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the word fierce. I want to talk about the connotation of it. And then what happens when we combine fierce and intentional, right? What happens when we combine fierce and intentional? So Maria responded. She says she's got cranberry green tea with a shot of ginger and lemon. Oh, that sounds delicious, Maria. Thank you for sharing what's in your cup. And then Christelle says some orange juice in the cup. Now, Christelle, if you add a little bit of champagne, you've got the perfect mimosa. No, just kidding. So, that's great. Yes, Roz, right? Come on now. A little bit of orange juice, champagne, the perfect mimosa. So let's go. So what I want to start with, ladies, I'm going to do a quick round robin. And I want to know the first thing, just one word that comes to your mind when I say fierce. Fierce. One word that comes to your mind. And Kemi, since your mic is open, let's start with you. What comes to your mind of one word?
That's the word. That's the word that comes to mind. That's it.
I like it. I like it. I don't know how to spell that, but okay. And also, if you are out there
Good
watching,
one.
please also let us know. So Christelle, Maria, Shirley, what comes to your mind when I say the word fierce? Type that in the comments for me. So Simi, what comes to your mind when I say the word fierce, the one word?
Unstoppable.
Ooh, unstoppable. All right. I don't know how to spell Kemi's word. So. Oh my goodness. All right, Mireille, what comes to mind when I say fierce?
Invincible.
Invincible. All right. And then Roz, what comes to mind when I say fierce?
Powerful.
Powerful. Wow. All right. So what we're gonna do now is I want to
What about
combine.
you? Did you say a word?
Oh no. Thank you. You know, when I think of the word fierce, I think what comes to mind for me is sure. And it's interesting, right? But for me, what comes to mind is, you know what, you are sure, you are certain of what that thing is, right? Because you can't be fierce and be like, I'm not sure. That's not fierce, right? So when I think of fierce, I'm like, okay, they are certain. They get it. They're really clear for me and certain. All right, sure. So what I want to do now is I want to go around and I want to have a conversation about an intentional leader who is fierce. And I want you to pull your word into the conversation, right? What does that have to do with being intentional as a leader? Because when I think of fierce, I don't think we use the term fierce to describe female leaders much, right? And I'm not quite sure why that is.
Usually it begins with a B if a woman is fierce. Let's just be honest.
Yes, let's just be honest. That is it, right? Which is why I'm not even sure women want to be known as fierce
Right.
because there may be a fear there, right? That I don't want to be that.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So let me go out here and see now. Maria said what comes to mind, oh, leadership and liquor. Yes, leadership and liquor with the mimosas. That's perfect. Well, maybe not on the job, but right after the job for sure. Um, Fierce, Christelle says, is unapologetic. I love that. Untamed and gladiatorial. I love that. All right, so let's go. So let's start. I want to start with you, Mireille. And what we're going to do is I want you to pull in your word and I want you to connect it to what does that have to do with being an intentional leader?
Sometimes, leadership, we know that leadership has to be active And so for me, it's really about high energy and being invincible, always be on the move, always be, in those vibrations that actually bring positivity, optimism, and also including people that you relate to, and lead them, have a vision for them, and bring them with you. And I think that's why I'm saying invincible, because the energy has to be high as a leader, especially if you are intentional, and it has to be about focusing on the
Uh-oh.
positivity and positivity around you, instead of looking at other energy, other type of feelings, and that's really what it's all about for me.
So I love that invincibleness that you're talking about, and bringing that in very succinctly with being an intentional leader. Because
Mm-hmm.
intentional leader, we know it's not that we're not going to run into challenges, right? We're going to
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
obstacles and challenges, but what if we refuse to be hindered or limited by that? What if we
Mm-hmm.
chose that we are invincible, and so whatever that leadership path, whatever that thing is we're trying to do, we're going to continue to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Simi, let's come to you, and your word was unstoppable.
Yeah, I think for me, an intentional leader is absolutely someone who's deliberate, who's conscious about what they're doing, whether that be in the here and now, or looking into the future. And I think part of that relates to what you've just said, in terms of, if you're deliberate and you're conscious and you're really aware of what you're doing, where you're going, you nothing's really going to come in your way that's going to make you stop. You're going to become unstoppable. As you
Mhm.
said, Rhonda, the challenges are going to pop up, curveballs are going to be thrown your way. But I think with the kind of fierceness and the passion that fierce attributes bring, really make you unstoppable and make you continue. It also inspires others around you to keep going, and it cultivates that culture of, let's keep going, let's keep driving, and we can get through this, and we will get there.
Mm. I love that work and who you bring to the conversation as an unstoppable leader, as a fierce leader. How you just said that changes the culture, right? That influences the culture around you, and people rise to that. So that's brilliant, Simi. I love that. So, Roz, your word was powerful, and talk to us about being a powerful, intentional leader.
When you're powerful, you have confidence.
Hmm.
You can't use that power unless you are confident and you have the knowledge to be able to use that power correctly. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
To use the power correctly, not to be abusive with it. But when you have power, then you can empower and influence other people to do things that they normally wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So as a leader, you have to have confidence. That has to be, come from within, and maybe a little bit of training and so on and so forth. But then as you get that confidence, you get that power. Okay, now since I have and I understand this process, this tool, this social media, whatever it is, now I can reach back. I have the power in my hand to reach back and to help somebody. And a lot of times we already have the power. We
Mm-hmm.
have what we need in our hands. We just don't use it
Mm-hmm.
because we lack the confidence. So confidence is tied into the power. But again, like I said, you have to use the power wisely and don't misuse it.
Mm, I love that, Roz. And you would think that would be easy to do, right? But it's really not an easy thing, because when you get to a level of power, if you're not certain on who you are, your values, etc., it really can be misused. So, Kemi, thank you, Roz. Tell us about your word. Uh-oh, she's gone. So we'll wait for her to pop back in. So what I want to do now is I want to just sort of continue the conversation. And let me go to our Leadership Above the Grind series sort of segment. And I want to have you all, take a look at this quote and then reflect on it. And then we're going to comment on that on just a little bit. All right, Kemi's coming back in. Let me just make sure. Let me share my screen and get you all to just sort of react to this. So this quote, and I always read it, especially for those that are listening later on the podcast version, Leadership Above the Grind segment. Today's quote is by D. Hawk, and it says, control is not leadership. Management is not leadership. Leadership is leadership. If you seek to lead, invest at least 50% of your time leading yourself with your own purpose, ethics, principles, motivation, and conduct. Invest at least 20% leading those with authority over you and 15% leading your peers. I found this fascinating as she did this breakdown of the percentages and how we need to be leading not only ourselves, but others around us. I mean, think about that for a moment. We talked last time on the show about the importance of leading yourself. But we're also now talking about leading sort of as you go through, leading those above you, leading those across from you, and leading. That's a lot of leading, ladies. So as you think about the intentional leader and all that they have to manage and lead, what are some of the challenges that you perceive in a leader being fierce and intentional? And before we do that, Kemi, I wanted you to add in your comment about, you said your word was, right? So you have to combine that with intentional and share with us, what does that have to do and how that relates to being an intentional leader? Kemi?
I think, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear? Yeah. Okay. So the reason I said is because there are many things we do as women, as humans, that we do not have a force behind us. Say, oh, I'm going to get this. We kind of waddle and walk and think we're being intentional and we're being fierce until we get there and we put our hands to the plow and it's not working because there was no energy saying, this is going to work. There isn't any number of no's that's going to get me. I have noticed that in my life, that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but I am not. There isn't a power. There is a certain level of power it takes to move a table made of pure marble. There is a certain amount of power that's required to move a table made of straw. But when we go into the world and it has to do with leadership, you don't have a choice but to be strong. You don't have a choice but to be a lion. Because every time you go in there, you are going to win. You're not going to kind of see if we'll win. You are going to win. That's why I said,
I love that. Listen, we're going to all be making that sound all day. Ladies, when you walk into your next meeting, I want you to walk in and say, now they're going to think you're a little crazy, but you know what? Hey, that's okay. So Christelle said, for me, intentional means having an agenda and a distinct goal that inspires me to be unapologetic in my leadership and my work. So I love that. It's just the act of knowing where you're going and what you're doing. And Christelle said, powerful words, Kemi. So why do you think it's hard for us as times, particularly as females, to be intentional, right? What is it about that? I don't know. Is it how we are taught to interact in the world? Is it the fear that we're trying to be liked? And this is always a fun conversation, right? Are we trying to be liked, or are we trying to be respected? Are we trying to be liked, or are we trying to be effective, right? Are we trying to be liked? And so I think those are the things that we have to decide. So, Roz, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to say a lot of times in the past, for me, I have I have not been an aggressive leader in the past is because I was scared of retribution. I was scared of being punished or whatever, or being labeled as outspoken, being labeled as aggressive, being labeled that I'm not conforming to company, this job description. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of times I know for me, and maybe for other women, and I might be speaking for other women, we have not done that is because we have always been punished, and because we have never been treated as equals, that we had the same amount of thoughts, ideas, and that we could bring a lot to the table. So we were never given that opportunity. A lot of times when they had boardroom meetings, we only brought coffee in because we were the secretaries. Now we're no longer just the secretaries. We are actually the leaders. So now we can go from the bedroom to the boardroom, to where before they wanted to keep us in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Social conditioning is a real thing. And for women, have you all heard the term that, women should be seen and not heard? Right. So, stay in your place, be quiet, sort of stay in your lane, stay in your place. But that's a problem for the fierce, intentional female leader. Raj, you used a really important term, I think, and it was conforming, right? The intentional female leader can't conform. So Mireille, what are some challenges? I mean, why are we as women leaders not always fierce and intentional?
Mm-hmm. So I agree with Rose. I mean, it's the domestication, the way we are raised. It starts at home, where, as a girl, you should be doing this. As a girl, you should talk like this. As a girl, you should, be like this. So we grow up with that, and for us, it becomes natural. And when you have somebody who wants to behave differently, they are judged. So there's fear on top of that, because you want to belong, you want to be part of the group. Because if you try to be different, then you'll be ostracized or put in a different category. And we're not ready for that. We're not really ready for that, and that's really a problem. And that's why I think it has to start with very young in the household.
Mm-hmm.
Really give chance to express themselves, to be themselves, because at the end of the day, even if we have the same gender, we are different. We relate differently to people, to situation, and that's something that needs to be voiced. Because for men, they tend to try to put us, or society, even women, the mothers, to put us in one group and say, okay, that's the way we should behave. So it comes really as a struggle for a lot of women to be fierce, to be strong, to say what they really believe, because they're always afraid, like Rose was saying, about the retribution,
Right.
or to being put sideline and judged as B, like we said, because they've expressed themselves and they show that they believe in themselves and they have character.
Mireille, what you and Roz are talking about is something so important, because it's just, I'm not even sure, Simi, if it's in our conscious awareness. I think it just becomes a part of who we are and kind of how we show up. But honestly, I'm so over it. I'm over it. We don't have a place. Our place is where we decide that it is, and our place is in doing what we feel loved and called to do. And how do we cultivate that, Simi? How do we continue to help women get past the fear of being called the B word? And let me just put that out there. Is it a bad thing to be called the B word? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what I've heard it used in different contexts. Like you're a bad bee, meaning, hey, you're a rock star. I've also heard, you're such a bee, which is not the good part, right? So I think context matters here also. But Simi, how do we help women deal with this social conditioning of basically stay in your lane?
Yeah, I think the social conditioning, absolutely. Like we can all recognize that. And if we look at, gender bias, all the data around gender bias as well, there's so much data around there in terms of just how data has been collected over the years, like the way things are designed. For example, if you look at the way things are designed for female toilets and male toilets, the needs of women and men are different, but the space that is kind of used for that design is the same size. It's designed basically what men need. The way cars are designed, or the size of mobile phones, they're designed based on data that's all based on men. And it's only till we start questioning and looking around and seeing that we're actually in a system that has been designed unintentionally or intentionally for men. And it's then looking at, well, where's our place as a fierce intentional leader? Where do we find our place? Where do we find our seat at the table? And it's not going to just happen. It is absolutely down to us as individuals to really become, one, I think, completely aware of our strengths, our unique gifts that we bring. We all have unique qualities, unique experiences, and it's bringing them to the table. Really kind of being expressive and articulating the values that we've brought before and the value that we can continue to bring. And then I think, secondly, it's about role modeling the behaviors that we want to see. Because people around us, men and women, may not be used to seeing an assertive, passionate female leader. And they may have kind of seen the opposite behavior of that, someone being quite timid or, sidelined, or they may see someone being overly like passionate and aggressive, kind of emulating maybe some very strong masculine characteristics. But I think as us female leaders, it's really about one, being completely aware of who we are and feeling comfortable in our own skin and our own unique talents and going forward and putting that forward. And I think the more that we can encourage that within ourselves and those around us, absolutely we can get there. But it's going to take time. And every time we do it, every time we take that opportunity, I think we get that one step closer.
I love that. It is going to take time, I think, particularly because society, the way that we treat female leaders, we've gotten this way over time, right? And now changing that habit, we know like when we change any habit, it takes time. And reteaching the world how to accept women, how to handle and support and champion female leaders, particularly those who are different, who are outside of the mold, right? Who are not the typical quote, what this person should be, but really celebrating that and enjoying that. And I think that women being afraid of, sort of that judgment piece, but that starts within us, right? We have to be willing to deal with that portion of it. Mireille?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it's about allowing ourselves to come out, even okay with that, even if people don't appreciate that. It's really about knowing that I know who I am, I know what I represent, and I know what I want to create, which value I want to bring on the table. There are going to be people that are not going to appreciate that, but I'm okay. I just have to do it. I just have to say it, and I just have to be intentional about what I really want to create. Because I think what I've seen as well from women, they want to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect, and especially in the professional environment. And we get burned, and we don't really get to accomplish what we want. We get stuck. And that's important to understand. There are things that we really gonna do well, and that's gonna be okay or not okay for certain people. And there are other things where we're gonna fail. We just have to, say sorry to ourselves and continue. That's all,
Yeah, and so Maria was out there, and one of the comments that she made was, if they're using that word with good intention, then maybe she's okay with it. We were talking about the context in which people are like, you're using that negative B word. But then Christelle said, when you're a Black woman, you can be seen as an angry Black woman as well, with the anti-Blackness added on top of misogyny. No doubt, Christelle, there's definitely some double stereotypes happening there. But even in that, so let's sort of dissect that for a moment as women of color in the workspace, and then self-awareness is key for sure. So dissecting that in the workplace, let's talk about that for a moment. We are women of color. We are women, right? On top of that. And then we are all powerful, ambitious, smart, strong women. There are going to be some challenges that go with that. And to Christelle's point, how do we navigate around some of that? And Kemi, I'm going to come to you on this because you always have a way of speaking about this. But how do we handle those different stereotypical boxes that we get placed in, Kemi? Because we're women, because we're women of color, because we're ambitious, and because we are strong vocal leaders.
We don't navigate it because, as far as we're concerned, it doesn't exist. We did not build that narrative. The white person built the narrative. They build she's Black, she's female, she's this. I never navigate that. I'm human, just like you. But if you choose to talk to me about the color of my skin and the country I'm from, then we don't have a conversation. Because if we have that conversation, we're not going to do the work at hand. We don't have time to talk about our humanity. That is not why we are here. And so that always is my position. Why do I have to join you in talking about that narrative? I am Black, so I'm female, so there is work to do. There are people to speak to, friends to make, intentions to aim for, money to be made, people to be helped. I don't have time sitting down talking about that stuff. They sit down and talk about it because they don't have anything better to talk about. They don't have any aims. They don't have any intentions. I will not join you in that conversation. So I'm navigating my way to the top where I can influence and make impact. I'm not going to navigate my way around my color. It's not going to change, and I'm not going to navigate it. So as soon as you realize I'm not interested, you're going to either stay clear away from me, or you're going to want to talk to me like, how are you like this? And I'm so not moved by it. And so I walk upon the high places. I come in as a leader. And even if you don't acknowledge me as a leader, I go out as a leader, because your acknowledgement is nil to me. It's who I am. Because that quote you read right at the beginning, but okay, lead this leader. But first of all, lead yourself. Leading myself is not sitting down and talking with you. That narrative, forget you. Forget it. I am not going there. I know why I came in here is not to talk about my color. That's not going to change. My gender is not going to change. I enjoy I've got figure 8, figure 1, figure 6, whatever you want to call it. But I am who I am, and I'm here to serve. I don't have time for that conversation. So I'm not going to navigate it. I have other things to navigate. Oh, good things to navigate. Yeah. Oh,
I think that was a mic drop for sure. Yo, Kemi, that was amazing. Now you guys see why I went to her on this, right? I've heard her talk about this before. And I just find that your conversation around this, Kemi, to be so thought-provoking and so powerful. You're also getting those out there watching it sort of riled up a bit. So let's see here. We've got So Christelle said, preach, Kemi. These are stereotypes intended to silence or to deflect. We stay focused. Regina said, okay, Kemi, I hear you. Don't get Kemi started. And then Maria says, say it, Kemi. So yes, forget you. I love it. Let's go do our work. So Kemi, let the church say amen. That was amazing. And so building on that, I really think that's a great place for us as leaders to be able to come from. We don't have to have conversations we don't want to have or we don't feel are valuable. We don't have to engage in dealing with someone who doesn't know who we are, doesn't accept who we are, and they're trying to get us to fit into a little box. We don't have to do that. One of the quotes I love is, just because someone throws a ball at you doesn't mean you need to catch it, right? You get to decide if you want to catch that ball. You get to decide if you want to play ball with them. You can simply let the ball fall and turn around and walk away. And as Kemi said, continue focused on the work. So Roz, what say you?
I can plead the fifth today because Kemi has said it all, honey. Kemi. I don't have to say anything else. Because, as I was listening to her talking about, and the other young lady was talking about, the data that they're using never included us. The information that you've been gathering never included women. So you're basing this off of 20 years ago instead of 20 months ago. So life has changed. Life has changed drastically. So in order for us to be, intentional leaders, just like you said, we have to ignore their foolery. Like she said, my color not gonna change. Who I am as a female not gonna change, unless I have a surgery or something, and that's not gonna happen. It is what it is. It is what it is. The whole thing is change the numbers to reflect accurately what leadership is. Change the numbers. Make it inclusive now instead of exclusive. The good old boys club is almost dead. We can put that in the Smithsonian Institute. So those numbers have to change. They have to, not only do they have to change for now, but they have to change because we are bringing women up. We are bringing, other people of color and culture. They got to change to reflect the truth. It's got to reflect the truth. We have got to stop lying about what is really going on in leadership. We got to stop. That's my, before I get on my soapbox, I'm pleading the fifth, I'm done.
That's awesome. But I do think it's true. And Mireille, when we're talking about, really being leaders and what leadership is and how we have defined leadership norms, right? We've defined these leadership norms. And now I'm challenging every fierce, intentional female leader out there to go forward and begin to dismantle some of the stereotypical norms that are deemed, that they have created the framework, right? They have decided even something as simple, Raj, you mentioned inclusivity. Even inclusivity is a challenge. So we did this exercise. So I am in a diversity, equity, and inclusion program, and I'm one of 3 founders of this program. And it's an amazing transformative experience. So we did an activity. We said, Google professional hair. Just go to Google, type in professional hair. Then go to Google and type in unprofessional hair. And what you see are lots of Black women with their natural hair come up under unprofessional hair. Who's defining these standards? Intentional female leaders, we have an opportunity to be fierce about this, to step forward as who we are. So Mireille, but it is challenging because we've been in this system for a long time.
it's challenging. It's challenging, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. And that's why you have to be intentional and know that you will get there, whatever the obstacle that you have in front of you, because that's.
Uh-oh, your mic is cutting out a little bit. All right, I can't hear you, Mireille. I think your mic cut out a little bit. Yeah, I think it's just the internet. Okay, say something now, Mireille.
Hello.
Okay, you're back.
Yes, I wanted to say that, that's why we have to be intentional. We know where we want to be. We know there are going to be obstacles. But, you have to push forward. If there's an obstacle, you can take another way. You don't have to always go straight. And that's what you understand, is that there's always a way. When you believe that you have a way, there's always a way that you can, if it doesn't exist, you create it. And I think that's what women have to do, is that things have been defined for us for years. It doesn't work for us. Let's create our own leadership, and let's create our own way. Because why do we have to take the way that was created for us if it doesn't fit? No way. We're killing ourselves. So we really have to be intentional and know that those roadblocks are there, but it doesn't have to be our roadblocks. We can create our own way where there's no way. And I think that's where we need to focus our energy and keep pushing. And that's and I think there's no way, like Rose was saying, there's no going back, because we are already halfway, and it's just a matter of pushing forward and being focused, like what Kemi was saying, being focused and not being distracted by what people think about us, what people want us to do, or the limitation that they put on us when they are not our limits.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We don't have to accept those limitations, right? And so as we move forward, so Kimmy, there is a group out there called the Purpose Performance Group, and they said that there are 3 key elements of intentional leadership: noticing, choosing, and acting. So as we move, and right now, I want us to just sort of have each of you ladies take one of those pieces that resonates with you and just touch on it a little bit for folks out there, because a part of what we want to do is give strategies for how do we become intentional leaders? What do I need to do to up my game in terms of being that fierce, intentional female leader? Powerful, who shows up strong and confident. So they say the 3 things are to notice, to choose, and to act. So, Kemi, let's start with you. Which one of those would you like to touch on in terms of helping give strategies to others to become a more intentional female leader?
I would choose, because it has to do with your thinking. Before you make a choice, you've got to think about it. Okay, am I going left or right? I'm going to be intentional. What does that mean? It means I need to have a plan. I need to have an aim. Many of us have plans, but we don't have aims. So what am I choosing to do? I've got to sit down and think about that. Think about the consequences. Think about why I choose that. Why are you choosing this way? Why are you choosing to get to your destination using that road? Why? That requires you to think. And that's something I believe many of us don't do a lot of. Thinking, where humans are used to, well, everybody's going this way, let's do it. Well, everybody's wearing that, let's wear it. Let's go and get ours. We're innovative beings. We're unique beings. We are always saying that we're this and that, but we tend to sink into what everyone else is doing. So if you're going to be intentional, choose with deep thinking, and stand by it, and then tweak if you need to.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you threw in at the end, tweak if you need to. So what about you, Simi? Out of the 3 that they say are required for leaders to be more intentional, notice, choose, and act, what would you choose?
I think all three are really relevant, but if I chose one, I would absolutely say notice. And notice for me is really about noticing what's going on internally for you as a female leader, and also noticing what's going on around you. And I think the more that we can raise that awareness within ourselves and around ourselves, we can use that insight to our advantage. We can use that insight to then be able to think about and navigate and plan where we need to go next, or what's working in terms of what's serving us well, perhaps what we need to do differently, or what we need to start doing. So I think that noticing is really, really important. And I think quite often we get so busy in the hustle and bustle of the here and now. And it's only when we take a step back and we allow ourselves to create a bit of distance. And we could do this a couple of times a week, for example, for maybe 20 minutes. It doesn't take very long, but it allows you to create that headspace to be able to just connect in terms of how you're feeling, what's going on, what's showing up for you, and also what's going on around you. So absolutely saying, become aware, become conscious, and really notice what is happening within and externally.
Thank you, Simi. I love that. I love the, as somebody who is a huge advocate for emotional intelligence, awareness always speaks to me, because what can you really change if you're not aware? Right? Think about that. That begins the process for pretty much everything. If you're not aware that you are showing up and your impact on others and you're not effective, right? If you're not aware of even your own thoughts and feelings, and why am I getting frustrated or angry with this colleague? Why is my sister pissing me off? Whatever it is, if you're not aware, then you really can't do much about it, but be a victim of the reacting that needs to take place. So I love that portion. Mireille, what about for you in terms of this group? I love the simplicity of how they put this together. Notice, choose, and act. Which one would you choose to focus on?
I mean, for me, it's going to be choose as well, because I don't know who mentioned that at the beginning. We already have the power.
Yeah.
Do we choose to use this power and be intentional about it, or do we step back? And that's really the choice that we have if we really want to be fierce leaders. Is really use this power which is already inside of us. We have it in our hand, and use it strategically to get where we want to be. And that's a choice. And I think that's a clear choice for any woman to make, because if we don't make this choice, we are static, and we just become followers, and nothing really happen. The thing that we want to happen to us, they don't happen. We're just following somebody else's agenda, and we get frustrated. So I think choosing, to use your power intentionally and strategically is very important.
Absolutely. I love choosing. And Roz, what about you? To notice, to choose, and to act. Which one really resonates with you? Uh-oh, hold on one second. Okay. Uh, Roz, you're muted. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The word I'm choosing is act. And when we act, we have to realize that we're on an assignment. And as we act, the assignment that we are on, we have to understand how our acting is going to impact the assignment. Because while we're acting, we're on the assignment, we have to give advice. While we're acting and we're on the assignment, we have to give advice. So while we are acting, there's a lot of things that go on, the mental piece, the physical piece, but the assignment is very important. We have to understand our assignment and why we act the way we are supposed to be acting. If if I'm assigned to do this, then I know that I'm supposed to, conduct myself a certain way. If I'm assigned to be a caregiver, then I have to act a certain way on that assignment. And we have to understand that we have to be flexible in the way we act and when we're on our assignments so that we can give the right advice to the next person who's going to also be coming behind us as they come on, whatever assignments that they have as a leader. So I just want to talk about that a little bit.
No, that's awesome. And because the three pieces work together, right? And you've got to be you've got to be consistent, you've got to be willing to do all three together, And for me, I think I would start with the noticing piece. I have noticed that nothing in my life changes until I pay attention to it, right? Until I'm aware of it, that's when I can begin to make changes that make a difference in my life. And if I'm not aware of something, then it doesn't, nothing happens with it. So noticing is the place that I start. We're going to start our wrap up segment. We're going to do our What's in Your Cup segment, where we're going to go around and ask each of you to just share a key takeaway. What's something that you're taking away from this conversation? But before we do that, I want to first get our post-production picture but I will forget. And so hold up your cup and show me a big smile. And then we will, Roz, everybody's cup in the picture. There we go. Got it. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. That'll be our post-production picture. So it is now time for What's in Your Cup? So this is our wrap-up segment where we're going to wrap up. And, I like to think of this metaphorically as throughout the show, we've been putting something in our cups. We've been refilling our cups with the wisdom and the nuggets and the insight and the passion and the energy that we've shared here. So as we wrap up our cups, and if you're out there in the audience, share some key takeaways. What are you taking away from this conversation? So what would you like to share with others to take away from this conversation about being a fierce and intentional female leader? I'm going to start with our co-hosts, and I'll end with our two guests. And then as I end with you both, you can also share if anyone wants to know more about the work that you do, how they can connect with you also as we end this part. So Mireille, let's start with you. What's in your cup? What are you taking away from this conversation?
So what I'm taking away is that leadership is a personal journey. Nobody can define your leadership journey. It's about leading yourself, and I agree with the statement that you put. Part of it is about, first leading yourself. And when you can lead yourself, then you develop this fearness that is, needed to be a fierce leadership. And you really enjoy the process, and you really, start to create a positive impact, not only for yourself, but also for your community or your country. But it really starts with you being aware of how you come across, knowing who you are, and really how you relate to people and what you want. What is your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? And really go for it and run for it without being distracted by whatever people are saying or whatever people want you, where people want you to fit.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mireille. Paying attention and then knowing what you want so that you cannot be distracted is such an important part of that. So, Roz, what about you? What's in your cup now? What are you taking away from this conversation?
I'm going to take away something Kemi said. When Kemi said that we don't have to entertain conversations. So that means that we should be able to walk away from things that are a negative conversation, things that don't have anything to do with our assignment, with our leadership. So we can protect our space. We should be able to protect our ears. And then we also have to protect who we are connected to. So I definitely like that what Kemi said earlier.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you, Roz. And just making that choice, right? You don't have to play. You don't have to engage in every conversation around that. So, Simi, what about you? What are you taking away? What's in your cup, and what would you like to share? And then how can people reach you if they want to know more about the work that you do?
I think a big takeaway for me is really about recognizing as a leader that space that you give yourself to raise your self-awareness. Asking yourself that question continuously: how am I showing up? How am I showing up? Because when we ask ourselves that question, we create the space for us to be intentional. And that paves the way for us to be unstoppable because it gives us purpose, it provides us with direction, and it enables us to be deliberate. But I more than happy for people to contact me as well. I have a psychology coaching practice, and that is called Wellbeing Phase, and I can be contacted on wellbeingphase.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simi, for sharing your key takeaways with us and that level of awareness and that key question. How are you showing up? How am I showing up? So, Ms. Kemi, what are your takeaways? What's in your cup through this conversation? And what would you like to leave folks with as a takeaway? And then, of course, share how they can learn more about you.
Yeah, my takeaway is what, is it Mireille? Because I'm using my phone. I'm not sure I got the name right.
Yes.
Mireille?
Mireille. Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Mireille?
Yeah. About showing up with power. Yeah, Mireille. Showing up with power. Because there are times, I know I'm powerful, but there are times I just walk in and I'm walking in like I'm just going to the kitchen to get a cup of tea into my business, into my work, into speaking to a client. I've got to walk in with power. And for me, that's a clear intentionality. I've got a plan, I've got an aim. We're going to hit this thing on the nail. So come in with the biceps like bulging and the words filled life, so that you're going to help people. You're not just going to do it partially, like, oh yeah, we do. No. I can imagine what the world will look like if everyone walks in with their biceps bulging and, people just observe you as you walk in and they go, she is a no-nonsense woman. Don't even talk about that. She came here to do some work. Let's all focus. Oh my. Anyway, yeah, that's what's in my cup. That's what I'm going to go away with that. And it's something I need to pray about and bring in and be, there's no other word, be intentional about it. Yeah, you can reach me. The best way to reach me, I think for now, is Facebook, Kemi Oyesola. DM me. I'm holding a trauma cure, C-U-R-E, trauma cure workshop on Zoom by Eventbrite. So if you want that information, I can shoot that to you. Or just send me a message. Rhonda has my number. And if you type in how to think with the number 2, one word, you will find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kemi. That was amazing. And, I think for me, as I take away from this conversation, I think one of the key takeaways for me, really that emerged through this conversation, is the need to know who you are so that you cannot be penetrated, bothered, detracted, diminished, or any of those things by what other people think of you, right? By them deciding where your space is and where your place is and what your lane is. If we have enough confidence and we are that true, fierce, intentional female leader, then what they think is not our business. It's really about what we think and then what we do with what we think, right? So all of those action steps. So I think that's what I'm taking away from our conversation. So this has been amazing. Thank you all so much. Kemi, Simi, thank you so much for joining us on the Coffee with Rhonda show. It's been a pleasure to have you all. To my awesome caffeinated co-hosts, you guys rock as usual. And, for everyone out there, this is a journey. This is an adventure, right? Life, enjoy it, embrace it, have fun. And each time we are with you, our goal is to help you get a little wiser, a little smarter, a little more savvy, and a little more sassy on your road to leadership. So until next time, for all of my panels, stay tuned for just a moment. For everyone out there, we are so excited that you join us each time, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode of the Coffee with Rhonda show. Until next time.
Thank you for watching the Coffee with Rhonda show. You can catch live episodes Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And If you are curious about leadership above the grind, you can download your copy of the Stress-Free Leader ebook at stressfreeleaders.com. Until next time.